wait. So, before you get started, I want to tell you a little bit about what you can expect from this video. So this video is actually an interview that I did with Joseph from Input English. So Joseph, I think he did a great job with this interview. He asked some really thought-provoking questions that will really help you on your comprehensible input journey. The questions that Joseph asked me, they're all centered around comprehensible input, of course, but also my experience with comprehensible input. Because of course, right now, as you know, or maybe you're just now finding out, I'm living in Mexico. I'm a guy from the United States. I'm a guy from America that's living in Mexico. So of course, I'm always telling you that comprehensible input is amazing. You should listen to more comprehensible input. I tell you that if you keep watching and keep listening, that your English is going to improve. But I'm really the living example of that. Just like you, I started my comprehensible input journey from 0 hours, and I don't even know how many hours I have now, but it's thousands. It's thousands of hours of comprehensible input that I've listened to, and it's really helped me to develop my skill in Spanish, in speaking Spanish, in understanding Spanish, in living in Spanish. So it's been very helpful. So I hope this video will be helpful for you. It's definitely more comprehensible input, like 50 minutes of it, and you'll learn a lot about what it's like if you continue the journey. If you really stick to this, if you keep watching and keep listening, your language ability, it will increase and you will be able to have the experiences that you want to have. So I hope this is helpful for you. Okay.
Today we have a fun episode for you. We have a conversation. We're going to share a conversation between Gregory of English Fiesta and Joseph of Input English. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Gregory.
Gregory, you're in Mexico, are you not?
I am in Mexico. Yes, I am.
That is fantastic because both you and I put a lot of time and a lot of effort into learning Spanish. And for my money, you are living the dream. You're living in Mexico for a period of time, and you're able to use the skills that you have developed over quite a lot of effort. So to begin our conversation, it would probably be best if you were to introduce yourself to our viewers and let them understand who you are and why we are doing this video.
Yes. Let me introduce myself. So my name is Gregory, and me and Joseph here, we're connecting on our second video. And our mission is to help people and provide good quality, comprehensible input. So that's the goal of this video, and a little bit about me. So to tell you a little bit about myself, I don't exactly think that there's anything so amazing and so interesting that you need to know. Really, the only reason that I think that you should hear from me is because I have experience with comprehensible input. I have experience learning a new language. Like Joseph mentioned earlier, I'm living in Mexico right now and I'm living the life. It's like a dream because I get to experience the culture. I get to talk with people. I get to use the skills that I've developed in Spanish to have new experiences and have a great time. And you learning English, as you learn English, you unlock experiences and you unlock feelings, you unlock connections with people. So that's why I'm here. That's why I created English Fiesta. And that's why me and Joseph are going to make a great video today.
Well, I would like to point out to the viewers that I think you're being too modest. Yep. You're a smart guy. You have put a lot of effort into this quest. Having talked to you several times, you bring a lot to the conversation, and I think you're just being very humble. So let's move forward. When did you get started with comprehensible input? There was a point before which you weren't doing this. You weren't learning Spanish. How did you get started and why?
Okay. Great question, great question. And yes, so the official answer, when did I get started with comprehensible input? I looked up the date. It was December 6th, 2022. December 6th, 2022. So that was 4 years ago. And yes, previously, before learning with comprehensible input, I was using Duolingo or, using apps, trying on my own to learn and understand, but it never really clicked. It never really worked until I started using comprehensible input. So that was 4 years ago, about, right? In 2022. And yeah, here we are now, having a good time with Spanish.
So I get the impression from what you said that it was like night and day when you switched your learning method from traditional methods and apps to listening to simple conversations that you could understand and started absorbing Spanish using comprehensible input. Was that your impression, that it was like night and day? You are now making progress with comprehensible input?
Yes, absolutely. You described it really well. And I like the expression night and day. Yeah, it's, nighttime, it's dark, you can't see, you don't know what's going on. But during the day, when there's light out, you can see everything. Everything is making sense. So absolutely.
Now, in English, we use this casual phrase, night and day, anytime there is a tremendous contrast between two different things. It's just a way of expressing strong contrast.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to the next thought, I think this one is going to be something that we have very much in common. English speakers learning Spanish are faced with a fundamental problem, and that is English doesn't have some of the sounds that are used all the time in Spanish. The classic one is the rolled R. And if you go onto the internet or onto YouTube, there are a lot of people teaching where to put your tongue and how to stand on one foot and close one eye and cross your fingers to get that rolled R to come out. A lot of elaborate explanations for us English speakers to learn that rolled R. So what was your experience? Because I've heard you roll your R. You do it very well. How did you come upon that? Did you study all those descriptions of where to put your tongue and how to stand on one foot? Or what was your experience with the rolled R?
Okay, great question. Really interesting question. And let me start off by being honest. And this is not me being humble, but I'm just being honest. So Joseph was really nice. He said that I sounded good when I roll my R's, but I have to say it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Yeah, there are some times when. Oh, yes.
Who is perfect? I don't know any perfect people.
That's true. That's true. Yes. But yes, to answer the rest of the question, it is really interesting the way that I learned to roll my R's. You mentioned about how, yes, there's videos and there's explanations and people are saying do this and do that, all these really technical things. But the way that I initially started to roll my R's, it was a natural thing. So I'll tell you the story quickly. So I have this friend, she's Mexican, right? She's Mexican, and she invited me to this event. She invited me to this event where there was singing, right? There was singing, there was dancing, but there was singing. And while I heard her singing and while I heard her roll her R's, in that moment, I tried to do the same thing. I tried to sing and roll my R's. And it happened. It happened smoothly and naturally. And I was like, wow, just from hearing her sing, hearing her roll her R's, I was able to roll my R's. And since then, it's been a continuous journey of hearing it and practicing it sometimes and it just coming out.
So if I understand correctly, you just flooded the problem with input and let the little gray cells, let your brain sort it out, and you naturally expressed that ability to mimic the sound that you had heard so much from her and other people.
Yep, that's 100% correct. I didn't think about it consciously. I didn't put in like hardly any effort, like conscious effort, but it just happened. Input fixed the problem, so to say, or created something, because there's no problem, but yeah.
Isn't that fun? That's just charming. It really does work, and that parallels my experience. So moving on, keeping up our pace here, so we have a lot of emphasis on input because from a practical point of view, we create content and people, our viewers, use that as input. But of course, we are all language learners, and what we really want is output. Again, referencing YouTube presenters, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, I'm not being cruel, but there are people making videos online and posting them on YouTube who put a lot of emphasis on the stress and the difficulty of output. And there are a lot of prescriptions for how we transition to output. So my question to you, and you can run with this one, how much did you stress yourself out over making that transition from just pure input to more input and then output?
Okay. Yeah, great question. Yes, this is an interesting question. It takes the mind in a lot of different directions, at least for me, because you mentioned the people that, yeah, really do put an emphasis on speaking, maybe speaking from the first day when with the traditional comprehensible input viewpoint, you wouldn't speak on the first day. You would receive many hours of input, like traditionally speaking. But yeah, so to answer the question, did I stress myself out? Did I go through anxiety when thinking about only receiving input to finally outputting? No, no, I didn't. And that's what I love about, learning with comprehensible input and the ideas and methodology behind it. It's a very natural process because the idea is that after you've finally listened to the language so much that you've built a mental map of the language in your mind, eventually those connections have been made and you're ready for it. You're ready to begin output. You're ready to begin speaking. It's not going to be perfect from the first moment, of course, but yes, just like how your listening skills improve over time from getting more comprehensible input, your speaking skills improve over time as you finally speak more. So really, you just have to trust the process that has already been working. We go from not understanding anything to finally understanding something. Like if you're understanding this video, there was a point when you couldn't understand me, but you understand me now. So just the process has already started by listening, and then naturally we become ready for output. Or at least that's been my experience.
Let me follow up. Were there times in Mexico, in your current situation, when you said things and you generated sentences and expressed thoughts and surprised yourself that you were able to do that because the words came out of nowhere.
Yes. Wow. You're really great at highlighting the experiences and highlighting all the positives of comprehensible input. Because yes, absolutely 100% yes. Even yesterday, actually. So last night, yesterday, I was with my friend. She speaks Spanish, of course. So we're talking and I had an idea. I had something that I wanted to express. I had a thought. I thought it, the word came out of my mouth, and I even asked her, I was like, is that a word? Is that the correct way to say it? And she was like, yes. So it was just amazing to me because I don't remember hearing that word. I don't remember reading that word. But when I wanted to express the idea and the thought, it just came out. So yes, those thoughts feel like, or those times feel like magic because it's like, wow, it just happened. It just happened naturally.
Feels like magic. So we can conclude that if you were able to come up with that word and use it correctly, you had probably heard it many, many times, but didn't explicitly studied it. It was your magical subconscious mind acquiring the language so that when you needed that word, it was there. And then, as you described that magical moment, when we human beings make these sorts of discoveries that we have some sort of superpower that we had no idea, what happens is our brain gives us a little dose of dopamine. It gives us a very pleasant sensation that we associate with dopamine that comes from such discoveries. So let's move on. Our subject matter now moves across the border into Mexico in earnest. You are currently in Mexico, and I'm not going to pry into your plans and what you're going to do and try to pin you down on this, but the fact is you're in Mexico, you're using your Spanish in the day-to-day. So my question is, how did you go to Mexico? You probably didn't walk. Did you fly to Mexico, perhaps Mexico City?
Okay, yep, great question. Let's get it started. So, yep, to keep this one straightforward, I got on an airplane from Houston to Mexico City. It was about an hour and a half flight, so it wasn't a long flight at all. It only took 1 hour and 30 minutes. But yep, so I came from Houston, and yes, now I'm in Mexico City.
So why did you choose your location? What was your thought process of where you wanted to go in Mexico? Okay. Yeah, so I had an idea of what I wanted. I had an idea of what I wanted to experience, and I have to say that it worked. My idea worked because the experience that I wanted, I'm having. So the experience that I wanted is I wanted to explore the city. I wanted to explore all the places with a lot of energy, and I wanted to come to a place where there was life and it was vibrant. So I wanted to come to Mexico City. But with that, with a place that's very vibrant and has a lot of people, there's also a lot of can be negatives sometimes. And I know this from living in Houston. I love living in Houston. It's a place that's very vibrant, has a lot of people, but also has a lot of traffic and stuff. So the place that I picked is Santa Maria. And it's a place not in the city, not where everything is packed and there's a lot of people, but it's a little small town. So when I wake up and during the day, I get to be in this nice, quiet, peaceful, small town. But then if I want to go to like somewhere vibrant and somewhere with a lot of energy and have an exciting adventure, then I can go downtown. So
that was my thought process. I wanted to have somewhere peaceful, but I also wanted to have a place to go to adventures. And that's Santa Maria versus other parts of Mexico City.
Oftentimes when English speakers travel to big international cities like Mexico City, Berlin, Barcelona, a lot of the people we come into contact speak to us in English. Has your experience been that being in Santa Maria puts you more in contact with people who are willing to continue speaking to you in Spanish and giving you a more immersive experience?
Okay, so yes, that's a great question. And I really think that's something interesting to highlight. Because definitely depending on what area you go to, you'll have a different experience. So you can have an area with a lot of tourists, a lot of places where all the people that travel, they go to that place. And then you can have a different place, a different town, a different city that's less visited, where the tourists don't go, that doesn't attract a lot of attention. So yes, Santa Maria, it's a place you can say it's more immersive, it's more authentic, we could even say. Because yeah, it's just the locals living a nice, quiet, peaceful life. And yes, to answer your question, they all spoke to me in Spanish, and I felt just right at home there. I didn't feel like in the tourist areas, sometimes they try to take advantage of you. Sometimes they try to get money out of you and scam you. But in this nice small town, it was so nice and so friendly, and I've been having a really great experience.
For our purposes, that's what we want. We want a good experience. We want it to be useful to us and enjoyable. So if I may ask, what about accommodations? Are you renting an apartment, staying in a hotel, living in a luxury penthouse apartment or penthouse room at a major hotel? How did you organize your accommodations?
Great question. And it's funny because I wish I had a penthouse. I wish I had a mansion in Mexico. Not yet. Maybe if this video becomes really successful and we get 1 million subscribers, maybe, but not yet. But to answer your question, so it's been interesting. It's been interesting because now I'm going on my 3rd month here. I'm going on my 3rd month here in Mexico, meaning I've been here it's going to be my 3rd month. And I've upgraded a little bit from where I started. When I first came here, I don't know the area. I didn't know how to buy things. So I didn't want to make a large purchase. I didn't want to spend a lot of money. So I first just wanted to get an idea of the city and idea of Mexico because it was my first time. And to start, I stayed in a hostel. A hostel.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. So I started in a hostel, like month 1. And then the end of month 2, I upgraded a little bit. I upgraded a little bit to an apartment. All right, so now I'm in an apartment. And yeah, that's been my journey so far. Maybe in a year I'll be in that penthouse. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know from talking to you and from watching your videos that you're an expert on physical conditioning, physical fitness, and strength building. So you've projected yourself into Mexico. How are you able to work out? You're working out, I presume.
Well, thank you for the compliments. I don't know about expert, but I do love to work out and get stronger. And yeah, so it's been interesting. It's been an interesting journey. Again, like I mentioned, everything in Mexico is new. Every experience that I'm having is new. It's a completely different place compared to the United States. There's different cultures, different ways of thinking, different systems for doing things. So everything is different. So one of the first things that I did when I came here actually was go to a park, find a park and hang up my gymnastic rings. And besides that, it's just been me learning about which, is this gym good? Like, do I like this area? How long does it take me to get here? So it's been a little more difficult in the beginning, or it was a bit more difficult in the beginning, but as I've learned more and as I'm learning about the city and what's around, it just gets better and better. One thing that I really love about the place that I'm at, Mexico City or even Santa Maria, is that there's always calisthenics parks around. There's always calisthenic parks around with rings hanging from chains, which you'll never see in the United States. And it's been amazing. One more thing. One more thing I'll say, because I really love it so much. There's also centers around. There's centers or buildings where they'll have everything. They'll have a pool, they'll have a basketball court, they'll have a track, and anything you can think of. And the amazing thing is, it's just all free. It's all free and open to the public. And I feel like some places in the United States, to have that luxury, you would have to pay for it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
That's magical. That's very cool. So in keeping with this business of working out and staying healthy, I'm thinking back to one time I was in Mexico City. They had some fires and the air quality was not very good. And I've heard from the internet, from YouTubes, that sometimes the air quality in Mexico City is not so special. But you've projected yourself out to Santa Maria. How are you dealing with air quality? Is it good or is this a challenge?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's really interesting because in just around, I've heard things about the air quality of Mexico, or I've heard that the air quality is different or something like this. I've just heard things here and there. But since I've come here, since I've been around walking, since I've been working out in the Mexico City air, I haven't noticed anything different, really. It's never crossed my mind that, oh, this air is bad, this air is lower quality. I don't know if it's the area where I'm at, or I think you mentioned something about fires. Maybe there was a period when there was a lot of fires or something, but yeah, as far as air quality goes, like I like the air here. The air is pretty nice.
Well, that's great to hear. I mean, we have an opportunity here to perhaps, to a certain extent, explode a myth, because I think some people have the impression that the air quality in Mexico City is bad, but your experience doesn't support that. It's actually pretty good. That's great to hear.
Is that your experience as well?
I've not been to Mexico City very often, and the one time I can remember being there, they had fires in the area and the whole region was enshrouded in smoke.
Oh.
But that's not from automobile exhaust pollution. That was from wildfires in the countryside that the smoke was blowing into town. So I think that was an anomaly. But the stereotype of bad air in Mexico is a long-standing stereotype, and it's nice to hear you, to a certain extent, explode that myth and assure people that your experience was different and positive. So let's stick with this idea of exploding myths. One of the things that some people worry about in Mexico City, and one of the things I was cautioned about when I was there, is security. Have you had concerns about security, or are you aware of issues with security, or what's been your experience?
Just for clarification, could you explain what you mean by security exactly?
Personal security, absolutely. Personal security, like concerns about perhaps being robbed, perhaps becoming the victim of crime.
Okay, okay. Great question, great question. Yes, this is a very big topic. People talk about it all the time. In fact, my dad, before I came here, my dad, he told me, like, be safe. Like, he was really adamant that I be safe, and he didn't want me to go even, actually, because he didn't think it was safe. But I only can talk from my experience. I only can talk about, what I've experienced, what's happened to me here regarding personal security. And yeah, this is another thing I'll say. In Santa Maria, where I've been, it hasn't even crossed my mind once. Like, I never felt in any danger. I never felt like I was about to get robbed in the daytime. So I've never been walking and I never felt like somebody was trying to grab my bag or anything like this. So in the daytime, I haven't had any problems. And something really interesting, even at night, even late into the night, like 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., even late out into the night, I've actually walked around making English Fiesta videos. I've walked around with my camera through the streets of Santa Maria, and I've been great. I've been great. So that's Santa Maria, at least, and I wouldn't do that in all areas, perhaps, but at least from what I've experienced so far in the daytime and the nighttime and the areas that I've been okay. But I do recognize that there could be, other experiences out there in different places, different times, but that's just my experience so far.
So it sounds to me like vigilance is called for anytime you're in a big city, but it doesn't sound to me like you've been under constant threat while you've been there. And that sounds wonderful. Another myth has been perhaps a little bit exploded.
Yes, constant threat, definitely not. Definitely not that.
The next topic in our interview is food. So now that you're living in Mexico for this time, have you noticed any differences at all between the food that you get, for instance, in Santa Maria, as compared to the food that you typically received in Houston?
Yes. Yes, 1000%. This is a fun topic. This is something happy and exciting to talk about. And I have so many thoughts in my head, so many thoughts from that question. One thing that I can talk about immediately, one thing that I can highlight immediately is not even just about the taste of the food, but also just the experience. So what I mean by that is in Santa Maria or in all of the city of Mexico, anywhere that you go, there's going to be somebody on the side of the street cooking, somebody that has a shop or a stand or a small building that's going to be cooking. So they'll be cooking outside, just fresh ingredients, right? The meat is cooked right in front of you. You get it hot off the grill. And that's just an experience that it's just amazing. If the same thing was to happen in Houston, somebody might be, they might have a stand or they might be cooking, but they're going to charge you so much. The price is going to be so inflated if you're in Houston. And the food could be okay, but the price of the fruit, the price of the food, the freshness, the friendliness that people have, just the overall vibe that's around is really great. Oh, and also people, they always eat at these stands. They always eat at these places. In Houston, probably I would just like grab the food and go back and be alone. But when you go here, when somebody's cooking and everybody's around, it's just it's an experience. So that's one thing out of like 20, but I don't know if I have time for that.
But if I can interpret what you said, it's just been a globally positive experience dealing with the cuisine of where you're staying in Santa Maria in Mexico.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh yeah, and like the tortas, the tacos, the chilaquiles, like yeah, everything. Everything that I've had in Houston, that I've had in the United States, it's just different. It's just on a different level. So yes, that's been my experience.
One of the stresses that language learners encounter is the stress of speaking with strangers in their native language, in your target language. So the language learner might be a little anxious about that. How have you found it dealing with people where you needed to talk to them, but they're not people you knew? They're people that you encountered, for instance, in these food stands, and you're speaking to them in Spanish. Has that been a real stressful thing, or not so much?
Wow. Another great question. Yeah, these are really great interview questions. Yeah, that's an interesting topic, and it really makes me reflect on my journey, and it really makes me think. So I wouldn't say that I was ever like severely anxious, right? I would never say that I was like scared to talk to anybody, or, I was like, didn't do the thing that I wanted to do because I was scared to talk to a native speaker. I never experienced it that strongly, but actually, yes, there has been a little bit of, we could say anxiety, or we could say nervousness in certain situations. There's been certain situations where in my mind, I didn't know if I would know exactly how to say this correctly, or essentially just have the confidence to complete that interaction through. But having those thoughts, having that nervousness, it happened a lot more at the beginning of my trip, when I first got here and when everything was new. But as I've been living, as I've been speaking, as I've been having an experience here, an experience there, and an experience there, my confidence has grown. And I can't think recently of a time where I was like so nervous where I didn't even want to approach the situation. So yeah, it's been a journey, and yeah, I'm like happy with the results and the progress.
So if I understand that correctly, being a newbie, being a new arrival there, a little bit of anxiety, a little apprehension, and then just in the day-to-day, this has gradually matured into much more confidence, much smoother interactions, and not so much apprehension.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Going on month 3, so I'm feeling good.
You're almost a citizen.
Yeah. Yep.
So making friends, I mean, one of the things that's touted about language learning is making friends, meeting new people, making new acquaintances, creating connections with people in a language that in the past we didn't speak, but now with these new skills, these superpowers of being bilingual, we have access to development of new contacts, new friendships, new opportunities to socialize, perhaps visit people in their home. How has that social aspect of your time in Mexico gone for you?
Wow. That's fantastic. That's a fantastic thing to highlight. The connections that can be made from being bilingual, from speaking another language. So yeah, wow. I consider myself a somewhat private person, so I won't go into too many crazy details, but man, the social aspect of being here and making connections with people, that's it has to be one of the best parts, yeah. Because to just know a different kind of person, to just know somebody that thinks differently than how you do, and somebody that's experienced a completely different life than you have in a completely different country from where you were born. Making that type of connection is incredible. And yeah, like I made connections with so many people. When I first got here, I made connections with the hostel workers. They're such nice people. When I go to a taco stand and I talk to the person, I make a connection with them. I made some female connections, which is, like you can have friends or you can have romantic connections, but I made, connections and yeah, just real genuine connections with real genuine people. Language has brought us together, and yeah, like the social aspect it's been really incredible.
So, when you and I have talked on video and also just with our messaging, with text messages, emails, and a Zoom call that we did just to get to know each other and plan for creation of these videos, I got to know you a little bit. And what I noticed is even though we're very different, as we said in our first video, we have a lot of things in common. One of the things I noticed about you is that you are very respectful. And so I know how you have always treated me. I infer how you treat other people, and I wouldn't anticipate you'd have any difficulty in Mexico. Did you get that same feeling about the other people, that they dealt with you in a very respectful, positive way in general?
Well, first, thank you for the compliment. I try to be respectful. You as well, you're a very respectful person. But, oh, yes, 1000% yes. And yes, you just you ignited something passionate inside of me because you made me remember an experience that I had. I've just had...
Is it a private experience that you're going to withhold, or is it an experience that you might be able to share with us?
I'll share it for sure. I'll share it for sure. Yeah. So you were talking about people and people being respectful and, people being honest, like these type of things. The people here, from what I've noticed, from what I've experienced, are so kind and so respectful and so honest. The experience in specific that I'm thinking about is this. I'll try to tell it quickly. But I just think about how in Houston, maybe we can say Houston or some parts of the United States, right? You'll have people in a store that want to sell you something, and maybe even people that, try to take advantage of you. They just, because their only objective is to get money from you or just to make a sale, to sell you an object or something. So I've had experience with salespeople in Houston, in the US, and, pushy salespeople, people that don't really care about you, things like this. But what I've been experiencing here is that whatever the thing is, like whether it's you're buying something at the store, whether you're buying food, people genuinely want to help you and genuinely care about you. I feel like there's so much more that I could go into, but yes, just to answer your question, this is something I've strongly felt, is that, the respect here, the care, it's amazing. It's amazing. It makes me want to stay here versus staying somewhere else.
One of the points I would make is when we love a place that we visit and stay for a while, and we speak about it in these lavish terms, we're not bashing the United States. We certainly cherish what we have here on this side of the border, but it is so wonderful to experience these other places and these other fine people. So let me ask a final question, if I may. I get the impression that so far your experience has been at least okay or really, really good. So assuming you come back to Houston and continue your life in Houston, would you go back to that place, or have you had enough?
Of Houston, you're saying enough of Houston or enough of Mexico?
No, enough of Mexico. Are you like so done with Mexico City and Santa Maria and all that kindness and respect that you're receiving down there? Or would you go back?
Great question. Really, really great. Yeah. Oh, you mentioned something important earlier. Yes. I should clarify, I love the United States. It's a great place. It's, where I was born and raised. I had a lot of opportunities and great experience in the United States. But yeah, honestly, maybe it's because everything is new. Maybe it's because, so many things are different, but I'm leaning towards the Mexico City side right now. I still have so much to explore. I still have so much to see. Every time that I go out, I'm seeing something that I'm like, wow, like, what is that building? What did they do there? And I'm just having a really great time. So, yeah, Houston is cool. Houston is great. I love Houston, but yeah, I'm having a really good time in Mexico City here, I'll say.
So it sounds like a very 21st century experience where you have found a place to which you gravitate, to which you are drawn, and it sounds like, at least for a period of time, you may have an opportunity to live there as a digital nomad and function in that society for a longer period of time. That experience for a citizen of the United States was in the past very unusual, but increasingly in the 21st century, we can create these opportunities for ourselves to live in wonderful places, interesting places, and function as digital nomads. Is this part of your thought process perhaps going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you mentioned a great thing. The great thing about living in the 21st century is that, yeah, you can just create a life for yourself. The life that you want. If you want to make it happen, you can make it happen. And right, we have technology, we have systems that we can build to put ourselves in a situation to work from anywhere. So yeah, I'm very fortunate. I can still work here in Mexico. I can still do what I need to do to live here for a time. Eventually, I'm gonna have to figure out like visa stuff and all that kind of thing. But yeah, for right now, I'm living the digital nomad life, and I'm here in Mexico, and it's been nice. It's been great.
So you might have wondered why I asked you all these questions. One of the reasons was obvious. I wanted to create a good video, a conversation between two English speakers, that is native English speakers. We each speak a little more slowly. We enunciate words very clearly, and we both have American accents. Not strong accents, but our way of speaking is very typical of the United States. And that was my purpose of wanting to do this video. But I had an ulterior motive. I had a secondary reason to ask you all these probative questions.
Did you?
Do you know what that is?
What is that?
I wanted the information for myself. Now, I don't plan on moving to Mexico for a chunk of time, at least not now, but I want to visit Mexico, and you've provided a lot of information that will go into my planning of a trip for a week or 2 or 3, and there's a real good chance that my trip to Mexico City will involve a relatively short airline flight into Mexico City, and then maybe finding a place to stay in Santa Maria, and I may be interacting with some of the fine people that you currently know. So my purpose was partially selfish because I wanted to know what it was like to live as an American expat in Mexico. It sounds very positive and very inviting.
Absolutely. That's great. I never thought of that perspective or thought of this video from that lens, but there is a lot of information here, and yeah, I hope it can be helpful. And oh man, if you're in Santa Maria, we can do a workout together. You know, I know you've been working out, so yeah, sounds great. Sounds great.
I don't know when I would come, and I don't know if you'll still be there. We'll find out going forward. So I have run out of questions. The questions that I intended to ask are all answered, and rather eloquently so. So do you have any closing thoughts that we should share with our audience of viewers?
Yeah, so first I just want to share a word of gratitude, a word of appreciation to you and this interview. I think it was really well done. You really asked me some thought-provoking questions, some questions that really made me think deeply. So thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for having me on your channel. I really hope that everybody watching has enjoyed this, or at least gotten some good comprehensible input and can understand the language a little better, because that's the real purpose here, is that we learn and we get input so that we can go have the experiences that we want. Maybe you want to go to Mexico, or maybe you want to go to Korea or the United States. So I hope this was helpful, and that's all for me.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I do want people who watch this video on my channel to go over to Gregory's channel, that is English Fiesta, and look at the fine work he's doing on his channel. That's a resource for you.
Thank you. Thank you
so
for that.
At this point, I'm going to sign off and say goodbye. If you have any comments, I invite you to put them in the comments section, and we'll see you next time.
This was fantastic.
So long.
Thank you.